All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024 business meeting. If we could all stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amy, can we have a roll call?
Director Asner.
Here.
Director Moeller. Director Sartorius. Director Suda.
Present.
Director Staten.
Here.
Vice President Cuneo.
Here.
And President Patrick.
Here.
Can I quickly make a motion to excuse Director Sartorius from today's meeting? He's away on board business.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much. Oh, public comment. Okay, so first on our agenda, we have 2.01, the retirement of District Lawyer James G. Tomaszek.
Good evening, Vice President Cuneo, Board of Education, Dr. Macklin. I'm Jennifer Henry, the Chief Communications Officer for the district. Tonight, I would like to invite Wendy Pendergrass to the podium to recognize longtime legal counsel, Mr. Jim Tomaszek.
Good evening, Wendy Pendergrass, Chief Compliance Officer. How are you? I have the great honor and pleasure of talking about a dear person for the district, Mr. James Tomaszek. Tonight, we are honoring his retirement. If you can believe it, he has been the representative of SSD legal counsel for over 30 years. Do you remember the Mary case? Just a joke. He's nationally known as an authoritator on special education and legal services. His dedication and expertise has literally been invaluable for many of us here at Special School District. His commitment to justice, fairness, and the well-being of our students and staff have left Jim, you're not going to be the only one with tears, have left a huge mark on our district. As we bid him farewell, we express our deepest gratitude for Mr. Tomaszek, his services, and we wish you all of the best in whatever you do in retirement. But I'm pretty sure we'll see you again. Thank you for all you've done for us, Jim.
We would like to invite you to come up with your family and any other visitors for a photo with the board. And we would like to present this clock to you in honor of all the time and service you have dedicated to the district.
Thank you.
Family, if you want to come up too.
Would you like the board behind the table or in front of?
How much family?
Yeah, the big family.
Yeah, but the in-towners are.
Here.
I will share a picture.
It's good to see you.
You're still sticking. Well,
Yeah.
Bo, you're still sticking, aren't you?
Oh,
Hold on, I know.
You're still
It's gonna be
sticking.
about-
Just a little bit this way.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm gonna take a couple of pictures. One more. Everybody behind me got their picture? Thank you very much.
Before we.
I'll let the board talk.
Before you leave, Jim, I just want to say some things, and maybe some other people on the board will. I always thought, I told you couldn't retire before I did. Yeah, you truly are an ethical man. I always figured if you said to do it, it should be done. I truly will miss you. And Bo said that you're still going to be of council. Is that correct? Good. So we can still use your expertise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Really an ethical man.
Our next recognition is in honor of Miss Amy Doyle, and I will turn it over to Dr. Macklin.
Thank you. So tonight we have a couple of people who are going to say a couple of things, or it's going to open it up to the Board of Education. As we know that this is Amy Doyle's last board meeting serving in this role, just as Jim has been here and has been valuable. Amy Doyle has been valuable in the role that she serves to go from there. And so I'm going to start off, and then Dr. Cuneo will read a statement, and then we'll open it up to the board tonight. I would like to recognize Amy Doyle for her unwavering dedication as the secretary to the Board of Education. She has been an incredible resource to me as I started my position as a superintendent, sharing her expertise, her wealth of institutional knowledge, and I'm incredibly grateful for her support and guidance. Her commitment to the role and to the district is commendable, and we wish her best in her well-deserved retirement.
All right, this is a statement that they've written for me. Okay, and we'll kind of add stuff as we go along. During my tenure, over 20 plus years, Amy's support of the members of the Board of Education has been excellent. How many of you remember MASH? See, some of you sort of my age. Do you remember Radar? Amy's been on Radar. She would know what you needed before you needed it. You know, she's been unbelievable. She kept board business and meetings running smoothly. She had every detail meticulously handled. Her dedication to our school district has been truly remarkable. We're immensely grateful for her contributions. Thank you for your passion, your hard work. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. We do want to see you again. You're always welcome here. Thank you for everything you did and will do. You're not done yet. Thank you. Anybody else want to add?
I just want to say thank you so much for everything you've done for all the board members, especially me, and then going into vice president and president role. Could not have been done without you. Every time I forget what to do. You got to get real good at whispering. You're supposed to say. It's amazing. So thank you so much.
So I do want to say just briefly, my first week as superintendent here, week and a half, I had a chance to go out to dinner with a gentleman who most of you know in this room who have been for a while. And I made a connection with him, who I have a lot of respect for. And a matter of fact, Dr. Kakris has joined us tonight.
Thought I saw Peter.
And he is here with us by Zoom. Dr. Kakris, are you there?
Yes, I am, Dr. Macklin.
Great. We're going to turn your volume up just a little bit. Would you like to say something, Peter, regarding Amy Doyle?
Well, I would, but I also would like to first echo all the comments about Jim Tomachak. He was outstanding.
Wait, Dr. Kakris, we can't hear you.
Okay, let me see.
Truly like Dr. Kakris, he says he wants to say something about Jim first. So hold on one second. Let us get his.
Okay, sure. Can you hear me?
Turned up.
Not yet. We can't hear you yet.
Okay.
Can we try now?
All right. Okay, can you hear me now?
No,
Wait a
not
minute.
yet. Give us just a minute.
Okay.
Dr. Kakris, say
Yes.
something.
Hello.
Can
you hear me?
Can he call somebody on the cell phone and have it?
Oh, Can we do that?
His-
Give us a minute. We're still trying to get the volume turned up.
Okay, sure. I'm not going anywhere.
And maybe he's.
How about his volume? Is there a way to do his
Well,
volume?
we can't. That maybe what it may be.
Dr. Cassis, is the volume on your computer?
Same with us.
Say it again,
I'm
Kevin.
sorry.
So we can hear him to the speaker, but just the.
Is the volume on your computer turned all the way up?
Yeah.
His
What the-
microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Very, very softly.
No, that's not me.
There we go. There we go.
How's that?
Great.
All right, good. Okay, so let me restart. First of all, I would like to echo the comments made about Jim Tomachak by the board members. He was terrific. He's probably the third person I spoke with when I came to work at SSD. There were a lot of cases unresolved, and he helped me to get them resolved. A lot of the credit for getting them resolved was really due to Jim. So thank you, Jim. Have a good retirement. Now, okay. Now, my formal comments. Members of the Board of Education, Dr. Macklin, and attendees, I want to thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I've always judged that among my administrative abilities, two stood out. One, I have a mania for organization, and two, an eye for talent. And this latter, that brings me to Amy Doyle. When Amy's predecessor, Jean Nash, informed me that she was retiring after 25 plus years as board secretary, we set out in the usual way to find a suitable replacement. We posted the position internally and we advertised it externally. We came up empty. So Jean Nash and my secretary, Barbara, asked me if they could identify internal candidates who might not have applied, but who had the requisite skills to succeed in the job. They told me that Marilyn Farmer had a young woman working in her office who was very talented, but somewhat shy and withdrawn. Would I interview her? I did, but it was not your usual interview. Amy kept insisting that she wasn't sure that she could do the job or that she even wanted it. I kept cajoling her to try it, even promising that if she didn't like it, she could go back to her old job. I told her to think about it over the weekend, then we'd meet again the next week to finalize the decision. When we met, I told her she had the job. There was no question about it. She had it. Told her what the salary was, named the start date for her training with Jean Nash. She was still hesitant. Tried to beg off. I wouldn't have it. I told her she had the job for 3 months working with Jean Nash. Needless to say, Amy Doyle proved to be a worthy successor. She was diligent. She's loyal to SSD. She has great technical and interpersonal skills. She showed her mettle by working with 5 superintendents, their staffs, board presidents, and board members. I don't know how many, because I haven't kept track of all of you. Also, she's worked with the multiple constituencies of SSD, the school districts, the public, other superintendents, whoever showed up. And true to her nature, Amy has performed efficiently and quietly. She never calls attention to herself. She's always projecting a positive image of SSD. And she has managed all this while raising a son, Jordan, as a single mother and caring for an invalid father who recently passed. In all of this, she has served SSD in ways none of us know. She will be missed, perhaps more than you know. I'm proud to have hired her and to consider her my friend. Amy, thank you for consideration for me, your outstanding service to SSD. Good luck, bon voyage in your next endeavor, whatever it turns out to be. You've left an indelible legacy. Stay in touch, and thank you very much. And thank you, Dr. Macklin and the board, for the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campers. I'm so glad you could join us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak?
Yeah, I just want to say, this has been a year, right? Of being on this board, but since the moment that I dropped off my packet, I mean, you have been nothing but kind and patient, considerate, thoughtful. Like, again, you think before I know, and I'm so grateful for that because again, this was a lot of work, on this here volunteer job.
Yeah.
So thank you for your many years of service before me and for just working so patiently with me as I learn. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And please stay in touch because I text you a lot.
I just want to say, also echo everybody's thanks. You've been one of the constants for me since I joined the board. And I've really come to trust you. I appreciate all the advice and guidance you've offered to us and all the support that you've offered. It's been invaluable. I'm gonna miss you.
Thank you. Do you want to say something? Yeah, I know I've only been working with you since March, but it has been such a pleasure. You are a T crosser and an I daughter and very good at what you do. It's been just a pleasure getting to know you and having your support in this transition. And I know you do a lot, and I think we all really knew how much you did when we saw your job description, when we posted your position. And we welcome Tom Giles. We'll vote on him. We'll be welcoming him soon. But he has big shoes to fill, and we appreciate everything you've done. He'll be missed.
Well, I have read my sentiments here, and again, I think I speak for the room and leadership team here as we think about the work that has went forward and what you've really meant to us here, and we're happy that Tom had a couple of days with you, right, to go from there. We'll continue those pieces to move forward. So we also have a clock here, Amy, right? And if we can take a picture.
Well, this one we probably want to be.
Have the board come out.
Jordan, you want Jordan to come up?
Yeah.
Have Jordan.
We'll have you guys go in or so we can get everybody.
So,
Our final recognition this evening is for Superintendent Dr. Michael Macklin. We are honoring him. We have mentioned it at our past couple board meetings. We were hoping to have a representative here tonight, but I believe President Potroff would like to say a few words. Or I'm sorry, Vice President Cuneo would like to say a few words about Dr. Macklin's award from the NAACP.
what I'm going to be is the NAACP tonight, okay? And this is what they wrote. Then we'll kind of echo it later. The NAACP is honored to recognize SSD Superintendent Dr. Michael Macklin. We recently presented him with this year's Excellence in Youth Development and Equity Award at the annual Freedom Fund Awards and dinner. Dr. Macklin was selected for exemplifying this year's theme, for culture, for community, due to his role as SSD's first superintendent of color and his work leading the district's diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility efforts. With his combination of instructional leadership abilities, and administrative operations experience, he's uniquely positioned to have a positive and lasting influence throughout the region. The only other thing I'd like to add on this, he'd better not leave. You know, all of a sudden now he's getting all these awards. He'd better stay. I've got too many people already leaving. Tomacek, Amy, nobody else is allowed to leave for a while, all right?
Well, you know, when they honor you on the same night as two retirees, I think they're trying to give you a hint, right?
Especially since I told everybody you can't leave before me. I guess I'm being asked to leave now.
We would like to play a short clip that the NAACP played at the evening of the awards banquet that shares a little bit from Dr. Macklin and from an SSD parent.
Hello, my name is Dr. Michael Macklin, the proud superintendent of Special School District of St. Louis County. First, I want to say thank you, truly thank you to the NAACP. When you think of the names of Ida B. Wells and W.E.B. Du Bois, who have been many trailblazers before me, I want to thank them and thank them for this award. I have received many awards through my educational career, and this one ranks up there with the best of them. And so I'm thankful and very, very proud. For me, it's always been about improving educational opportunities and outcomes for students. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to serve. Thankful for the accomplishments that I've had throughout my career. I am the first person of color to ever serve as superintendent in the organization's 66-year history. And so I want to say thank you.
My name is Monique Williams. I'm a parent of SSD. My child has been with SSD for the last 5 years. With Dr. Macklin being the new superintendent, it's been a great game changer. I've seen changes not only just in our school district, but throughout the entire school district. And thank you so much, Dr. Macklin, for all the changes that you have made and going forward with the special school district.
So Dr. Macklin received this very impressive piece of hardware. If we could have you come forward with the board to do a photo. This concludes our recognitions. Congratulations to Mr. Tomacek, Ms. Doyle, and Dr. Macklin. We do have refreshments out here in the superintendent and communications area, so please help yourselves to the treats and the punch. Thank you.
Take a break now. People do
Yeah.
that.
Well, before we go to public comment, Dr. Macklin, just want to say a couple things.
Yeah, I do want to say a few words. Of course, I am very, very thankful. There are a number of many individuals in this room, even though this award has my name on it, a number of individuals in this room who really also have assisted to pave the way here at SSD. And so I'm thankful for my leadership team who is here tonight, because truly without them, you don't receive awards like this. I think that's number one. I think number two, I learned 3 lessons last year after doing this for 25 years. The first lesson I learned is that you're going to have to make hard decisions about people that you care about. No matter how much you care about them, if it's about moving the organization forward, hard decisions have to be made. I think also that despite your best attempts, just because of the nature of the work, you will be disliked. You don't make friends doing this often, and it's about the betterment of students. I think the third thing is that also that you will often be misunderstood and won't have a chance to advocate for yourself because of the perceptions. I say those things because in my work, I've always focused on treating people right. No matter where we are in this country, no matter your political views, at the end of the day, if you can't treat people right, we've done a disservice. At the banquet, the board got to meet my daughter, who Carmen described as opinionated, and she is opinionated. Trust me, when she meets all of you, she's going to know you because she's heard me talk about you before. The one thing that I have tried to stress and teach my daughter is at the end of the day, she has to be the one who could inquire and advocate for herself. And if we aren't teaching students that, then we've lost something in the work that we do every day. So thank you all.
Did we want? Yes. For,
Do you want to take a 5 minute?
yeah,
5 minutes.
let's take a 5-minute break so we can go have
Cookies and punch.
cookies. And then we'll resume. Right.
up at
Make me actually.
MSBA when it was in
About, like, you know, maybe
Boston.
we do want to move out.
Yeah, we were presenting on something there. And so we said, we had dinner together. And he was talking about, he had a senior side. I said,
Live again.
"Alex, what choices? Next time he calls me and finds.
All right, are we all back?
It was.
Ready to play? All right, so we'll pick this back up at 3.01 public comment. We have one person signed up, so Mr. Eby, if you want to come on up and I'll read my thing that you probably know by heart by now. Welcome to the monthly meeting of the Board of Education of the Special School District of St. Louis County. Up to 30 minutes of this meeting will be set aside to hear public comments. The Board of Education values your input and thanks you for your comments. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address any item that is a legitimate part of the business of the board, so that many different people may talk me off. So that many different people may be able to speak. Time limits will be strictly observed. Speakers will be invited to the microphone in order that their names appear. And the sign-in sheet and any written material submitted to the board secretary will become part of the official public record of the meeting. Microphone's yours.
Thank you, President Petrov, Vice President Cuneo, Superintendent Macklin, and members of the Board of Education. I'm Tim Eby. I'm the Executive Director of the Special Education Foundation. And first, a note of thanks to Amy Doyle, who we will miss, but she said she's going to continue to volunteer for us at our golf tournament. And Amy, thank you very much for all your service. And also to Jim, Thomas Eck Brink was, I think, our first sponsor of our golf tournament some 22 years ago, and have been great supporters throughout those years. And so we're very grateful for their generosity. I wanted to share with you some exciting news that we have going on. Last year, we started a program called Arts in the Classroom, bringing arts organizations to do live performances at the SSD schools. And a few weeks ago, we received word that the Regional Arts Commission have awarded a $7,200 grant from their grant program to help fund the program this year. And that means we can bring more arts into the classroom. And so we're very, very excited about the year ahead. We are planning to bring the Metro Theater Company in for a couple of performances beginning this fall. We have Jazz St. Louis that we're talking to about bringing a jazz performance into one of the SSD schools. The Black Rep will definitely be back again this year. The African dance troupe Afriki Lolo will be back. The Imaginary Theater Company will be returning. That's a group, children's theater group from the Repertory Theater, and the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, who did a performance with a small group ensemble at Southview School. We're planning to bring St. Louis, the symphony back, members of the symphony. And what makes this so important is the students, so often the students at our SSD schools just don't get the access to these performances. It's many times students will take field trips to these performances, but it's very difficult for those students to be transported. And so for us to bring these performances into the schools, it's a wonderful treat. And the students' response is just amazing. The other piece of our program is to also support other arts programs, including a wonderful performance that Northview School does every year in the late winter, early spring, called Mythbusters, where they do a live performance themselves, a stage performance. And I think 40 to 50 students get involved in that program each year. And SEF has been supporting that for many years, and we're planning to continue to support that this year again through our Arts in the Classroom program. So I just wanted to share that with you. Also brought along propaganda about the program that I could share with you. And just appreciate all the support that we have from our partners here at SSD for all we do to help the kids. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we move on, I would just like to say, Mr. Eby, we have, for as long as I've been on this board, we haven't had somebody who comes to every meeting from the Special Ed Foundation since you've been, and you have done this all the time. I have been impressed with that. And I really appreciate the updates.
Oh, sure.
On every meeting. Thank you.
I've often learned that the biggest part of success is just showing up. So that's what it is.
He does. Well, it has been noticed. Let's just say that.
Next on our agenda, we've got 4.01 approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion? Motion by Suda. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. First, on the superintendent report, 5.01, we have the board start of school and innovation waiver update.
All right, good evening, President Potroff, Board of Directors, Superintendent Macklin. My name is Kelly Grigsby. I'm Deputy Superintendent, and I have with me tonight Kevin Ander, Chief of Technical Education and Operations. We're here tonight to talk to you about the upcoming start of school, the couple celebrations, and also to bring you some information regarding updates on the innovation waiver, which we presented a couple meetings ago, and to talk about next steps. So just a reminder, when we're talking about SSD schools, we're talking about our SSD separate schools, and we're also talking about our technical schools. So a couple updates for our district with regards to all of our schools and even touches some of our partner districts as well. We have a new software replacing SIS. It's called Focus School Software. Our technology folks and our student data folks have been working really hard to get that up and running for the start of school. We have some new transportation software called TransFinder Plus, which should help with communication with our stakeholders, also with routing some other pieces of transportation. On Thursday, we have our annual summer equity retreat. This will be our 4th annual equity retreat. We're excited about that, where we bring in members of our equity teams from the schools and then other people across the district who'd like to have more information and work around equity. And then excitingly, we've had this position for a while, but we have filled the new custodial manager, which means we have boots on the grounds actually in our schools, working to collaborate with the custodial company that we contract with, which helps give them a layer of accountability. It also gives our school staff an opportunity to have a liaison between the company and our schools. We're hoping that this will improve the cleanliness and just the overall operations. There's a couple of school celebrations. As you may or might not know, New Owner and Northview were both recognized as National Schools of Character. Also, Bridges, the staff at Bridges have been working very diligently with the support of Dr. Diggs to earn their trauma-informed education certification. I believe that's through Missouri Baptist. Restorative practices at our juvenile detention center have really supported relationship building, also decreased behavioral incidents, which has led to students being able to be in classrooms more often. We have a lot of students returning to their home schools, especially out of Southview. And then at Litzinger, as we've talked about we've seen some dramatic increases in student achievement data, especially around those targeted interventions. And then at Ackerman, we see a huge increase in focusing on student and staff recognition.
All right. And then in our technical schools, a couple big updates. If you remember from our update back in April, we talked about all those students who did really well at Skills USA at the national and the regional level. We had 2 students who moved on to compete at the national competition. We had a student who placed 8th in the country in internetworking. And then we had a student who placed 14th in the country in video gaming. Yes, video gaming is a competition. It's the programming of video games, not playing of video games. We are also very excited about August start. We have at North Tech 447 new students who will be starting with us in August, and then at South Tech 474 new students who will be starting with us. That's a huge increase that we're seeing in student interest in our programming, so we're really excited about those numbers for both schools. We have a new assistant principal at North Tech, Miss Rachel Haywood. She started with us about a week ago, so she is on board. We're also excited that we're on track to be fully staffed. We've got 1 teaching position left to be filled, but that's going to be on schedule to be fully staffed for the start of the school year. So we're really excited about that. And then as you navigate your ways around our schools, we have a couple big construction projects. Our largest is at South Tech with our electrical trades. We've really been able to move that into a new space. If you remember when Bridges moved out of the South Tech building and down the hill, it displaced electrical trades. We've now converted the previous Bridges space into a new electrical trades classroom that's on track to be open for August. We're really excited about how that space is turning out and allowing some collaboration between other programs in the hallway. Then South Tech, just like North Tech, did some updates in the hallway to make the new construction match the rest of the building, so you don't feel like you traveled into a time machine when you go down different hallways. And then also North Tech has a project on the horizon for the cafeteria and commons to create more of a common style feel of the space as opposed to a high school cafeteria now that we've moved to the fully half-day model. And so that project will be getting underway here in the fall. With that, we're going to talk about the innovation waiver. So if you remember, we talked about this back in May. And so we're going to dig into it a little bit more and give you some updates. Just as a recap of what is the innovation waiver, it's that was created by Senate Bill 285 back in 2021, which allows districts under certain circumstances to waive different aspects of statute or state regulation. Waivers can last for up to 3 years and they can be renewed over and over again. For our purposes, we're focusing on increasing student college and or career readiness is the focus of our innovation requests. The process must include an innovation plan. You have to have an innovation team. You have to have accountability targets. You have to have stakeholder support and identify the laws and regulations you're seeking to be exempted from. So those are kind of all the key ingredients for an innovation waiver through the state. As we talked about in May, why are we doing this now? As you guys saw with the MSIP data, the current accreditation model really does not fit our students, our schools, or our programs. And so we want to really focus on the things that matter. We want to measure meaningful data. We want our focus on programming and outcomes and really having that drive student learning. It creates the opportunity with the innovation waiver to have everything center around what the work that we're trying to do in our CSIPs or continuous school improvement plan can fit into our accreditation model, and all of those plans layer together. Whereas right now, we're chasing a wide variety of metrics, and it's allowing us to not really focus on anything. We're focusing on a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And instead, this allows us to be much more intentional as a district and focus on the things that's going to drive student outcomes. So what have we changed since May? So first thing was we received some feedback from DESE regarding our draft. If you recall the draft that we brought in May, it was really written in a narrative form was the structure of it. We switched it to being a little bit more of broken down by specific requests. Request number 1, request number 2, request number 3. By switching to that format, makes it a little bit clearer of specifically what are we seeking to change. That update to the plan is based off of the feedback we got from you all at the board meeting in May, the feedback that we got from DESE, and then based off of the feedback from those two groups, we took that back to the innovation team. As a reminder, the innovation team includes building principals. It includes people from curriculum and instruction. Kelly and I are a part of the innovation team. And so we kind of try to put all those pieces together to get a really cohesive, what are the things that we are explicitly asking for? We then got some feedback from the innovation team once we got all that put together of what are the 7 things that we're really asking for the state, and that created that adjusted final draft. One of those things that we added that wasn't really clear in the last one was for each section, what are the applicable parts of state regulation or statute that we're seeking to be exempted from? So we changed the format to highlight those specific requests. We added some references to regulations and statute. We did a little bit better job of specifying some timelines of when things are going to need to go to the State Board of Education. Because some of these areas, we're going to have to do some data collection before we really can land on what is the metric. Because some of these are things that we don't currently have data on or we have limited data on. We also revised the language to give us a little bit of flexibility as we do that data collection. The narrative form, we really were putting ourselves in a box of this is how we're going to handle attendance or this is how we're going to handle some other pieces. But we wanted to give ourselves some flexibility there of when we start looking at the data, if there's something that's going to be a better driver and a better measure, then we want to lean into those pieces. We also added at the bottom a specific request to place our accreditation on hold for the life of the waiver. So that wasn't something that we explicitly requested last go around. We added that in. We also added some timelines about how we're going to get stakeholder feedback. How often are we going to bring it to the board? We added in that we're also going to bring the innovation plan and waiver request as updates to the PAC as well to get that parent voice. So being just a little bit more explicit about how we're going to engage the different groups that are a part of the innovation waiver process. So what are our next steps with this? So we've gotten that initial feedback from the state. We got the initial feedback from the board in May. We're now at the place and space where we're seeking approval at this meeting for our finalized innovation waiver request. We have to have board approval before we can do our formal submission to DESE. Once we have board approval, then our goal is to submit this to DESE and get those wheels turning. So once DESE approves it, then it can move on to the State Board of Education. So once it gets approved from the board, then we will formally submit the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education within the hopes of them putting it on the agenda for the next State Board of Education meeting. The State Board of Education is the one that has to approve any innovation waiver plan request. By having 7 requests, they could approve all 7 requests. They could approve 5 of their requests. The way it's structured, it's request by request is what they'd be seeking to approve. Questions?
Thank you for the update. And so long as one of the requests is approved, does that mean that we have a waiver for the next 3 years?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
When do you hope to hear back from the powers that be about it?
So
When do they make the decision?
that's a really good question. So we're hoping to hear back from DESE in August about when we could potentially go to the State Board of Education.
Okay.
So it'd be up to them to determine what meeting would be appropriate for the request to go to. And that's one of those pieces on those timelines that depending on when we go to the state board, that might impact timelines. At the same time, some of the data we're looking to request, where the innovation team is, it's like, these are things we should be tracking anyway. So there's some things that even if we're in kind of limbo, we're going to still get some of the pieces in place so we get that baseline data. So at least we know where we are right now. So we're ready to go.
Right.
Yep.
Any other questions?
I do want to say that in April or May, we met with the incoming commissioner, Dr. Esslinger, and this is one of the pieces that she really spoke to regarding being able to level the playing field as it relates to those who are marginalized. And so really being able to and the team that's assembled here, diverse team, I really appreciate those pieces and moving things forward.
Yeah, thanks for the updates. Congratulations on all of the great things that are happening. So many students are entering our tech schools. I'm just wondering, is there a waiting list for?
There is. For many of our programs, there is a waiting list. Yes.
Do you know about how long it is?
It varies by program. So some programs, the waiting list might be 5 or 6 students. Some of the programs, the cosmetology, for example, where there's just, we're it, and we can only take in 36. I think the wait list on that one's around 80 or 90 of each school for that program. So it just depends on the program.
Okay, that's interesting to know. And I know that's a really big picture question. What do we do? Because we do have limited space and
Yeah.
staff and resources. But it's good for all of us to know that there's a waiting list
Mhm.
and to be thinking about what we can do. And then you used my favorite word. I don't know if you know yet, but you will soon. My favorite word is align. And I love this slide that shows aligning accreditation with our CSIP. I think that's really important. I see a lot of alignment throughout this innovation waiver plan. And I think that's really going to help us move forward, is aligning our work with our CSIP and our practices. So that's wonderful. And when you hear waiver or exemption, you think, oh, there's an opportunity to just not do it. And I'm not saying that it
Yeah.
sounds like that, but I want to say the opposite, actually, that there is a real desire for accountability and a real desire for the best outcomes for students. And I'm really happy to see that there as well. It's not just, well, it doesn't apply to us, so we're going to do our thing. No, we're going to do the very best for students and for our CSIP. So I appreciate the work that went into this. I know it's a big lift. Thank you.
And that is a big concern with the innovation waiver. It does feel like that you're looking to be exempted, but it really is, we're asking for permission to color outside of the lines so that we can better meet the needs of our students and making sure that we're really looking at those measures that's going to drive their outcomes as opposed to those measures that were predetermined by the state.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Very good. Any other questions here? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 5.02 partnership agreement and coordinator principal collaboration tool updates.
Good evening, Vice President Cuneo, Board Superintendent, and Community. I am Chiquita Moore, Chief Partner District Officer, and I have with me today our new Executive Director of Partner Districts, Dr. Chad Lent, and he will be presenting with me tonight, so you will hear from him very soon. Tonight, we're just going to provide you with some updates to inform you that you will have additional information coming your way through this same format and process at a work study session in the near future. Today, we just want to give you that information so that you can have that level of awareness and have the artifacts and information to support any questions that you might have as we transition to that time. So our role as partners, we want to ensure that we provide that background information and our work that we do with our
partnership agreement as well as the collaboration tool, it is all embedded and it falls directly under IDEA. That is where we want to ensure that from that federal level that we are in compliance with those expectations and that we deliver those also within our partner districts. We want to ensure that through that there is alignment with our state plan as well as any regulations at this level as well. We have worked to ensure that through these processes, we have some level of connectedness with our request from partner districts as well as our partnership and work that we do with each of those districts. And that includes us working in collaboration to meet both federal and state requirements and also adopt a local compliance plan. And that allows us to outline those policies and procedures that we must follow and ensure that we implement IDEA. And so one of those expectations is to ensure that we do have this information approved by each of our partner districts' boards of education.
That's all right. So Ms. Dr. Moore has talked a little bit about the federal component that we have to follow as far as their requirements, and then the state component, which is the Missouri State Plan. And then underneath that is a more of abbreviated version of that, but it is the assurance plan, or I'm sorry, the local compliance plan. I got forwarded here a little bit too far. Sorry about that. And so with the local compliance plan, it is looking at basically what a local school district needs to do in order to meet the requirements of the Missouri State Plan and of the federal requirements of IDEA. And then because we are a special school district, we also have a assurance document, and each district has to sign this each year. And the assurance document is goes through regulation 15 of the state plan, which is all about the special school district. And really, the assurance plan is about how we are going to work together to ensure that we are meeting all the requirements. Because in other districts, they do it together, they do it by themselves, but because we're two separate districts, we have this assurance plan that says we're going to both do this component of it. And then this is a graphic that just kind of describes what we've talked about, which is the federal component of it, which goes down to the Missouri State Plan, the local plan, and then the assurance document. And some of the work that we do together is not necessarily encompassed in any of those plans. And that's where the partnership agreement really comes into play. The partnership agreement really talks a little bit about, or helps us work together to identify other areas that we are seeing as barriers to working together, and also being able to come up with some plans to address those issues.
So the importance of the partnership agreement is to ensure that we have effective collaboration between SSD and each partner district, and to ensure that there are opportunities for us to increase knowledge and awareness of expectations from both sides. What is expected of us as we enter into those districts, but what do we also expect as we serve as students in their home school districts? The tool allows us to monitor progress and to also plan collectively, and most importantly, it guides our conversations. There are 7 categories to the partnership agreement. We will go more in depth in each of these as we deliver this information during work study. What we've talked about thus far today, the local compliance plan, the general assurance document, as well as the partnership, the principal and coordinator collaboration tool, they are all embedded in this as well too. And that falls up under category 3, collaboration of resources and responsibilities. We also have provided you with the actual partnership agreement for your review and reference as well. We want to ensure that this is not just a document that is just something to do and then it finds its way into a file, but it is a living document that individuals use throughout the year to ensure that we are true partners and we're supporting the needs of our students. And so a few ways that we do that is ensuring that this is endorsed by our school board as well as each partner district's Board of Education. This information is also shared publicly, and it's at the discretion of each of our partner districts' boards of education, whether that is through a session like this or delivered through some other form and or nature to their constituents for their level of awareness of the agreement. We want to ensure that we continue to implement the principles of this, and we want to ensure that you to work collaboratively for that to happen. The individuals that support this work include the superintendent of special school district as well as the partner district superintendents. Our board president signs off on this as well as the board president in each of our partner districts. And we added a piece through your recommendations previously to ensure that each partner district's governing council member is also aware of this agreement and signs off on it. Each year annually, our directors will present this information, share where they were at the beginning, that baseline information, share where they are and what action plans and or steps that they may have in place collectively to address any needs that they may have identified through their work of using the partnership agreement. The principal and coordinator collaboration tool.
All right, so when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the partnership between that principal and the coordinator is so important in order for us to be able to work together. And the collaboration tool is really a great tool for helping that conversation between those two individuals to talk about how they work together. We all have working relationships, but we never really always, we don't very often sit down and really look at how we work together. And that's really the great thing about the collaboration tool is it really identifies some strengths and it identifies some barriers. And then together, those two are able to work together to increase the collaborative efforts between those in that relationship. And some important dates, Dr. Moore has already talked a little bit about this in that the collaboration tool and the partnership agreement tool, we collect baseline data in the fall, and then we also do a wrap up in the spring. The partnership agreement is presented to most of the partner district boards. We do ask that occurs before the end of September, and then we try to get this agreement signed by the boards by the end of October. And really the expectations with that is to present what the partnership agreement is and what their action steps are, and then recommendations.
Thank you. One of the recommendations of that you all provided was to ensure that we connected the general assurance document, that timeline with the partnership agreement and the collaboration tool. So we've worked to ensure that all of those dates are consistent as well. This is the first year, well, actually going into this current year, the 24-25 school year, this will be year 2 of the principal collaboration tool. So we were able to collect baseline data this previous school year that we'll use to support with developing action steps and plans. And we also know that this is a year of implementation. So we're expecting opportunities to continue to grow and ensuring that at the school level that principals are taking this component extremely serious as we do, and that we're able to see progress moving forward. When we talk about the assessment and evaluation, we'll be looking at this again, as Dr. Lynn indicated, annually. We want to ensure that these items are mutual responsibilities and, again, not just check off opportunities for just a one-sided person to complete this, but it is done in collaboration and it becomes a working document. Ensuring again that those action steps are agreed upon and that stakeholders are given the opportunity to provide information and to also know what is taking place with the partnership agreement. And at this time, we can take any questions that you might have.
Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead. Moi. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. You just coming from, coming from other boards and knowing what some practices on other boards, I know it's different everywhere.
Absolutely.
I wonder if, as the partnership agreement is presented to partner district boards, if there might be, if there's an opportunity, and this is just a think about, for a special school district to have maybe a PowerPoint to accompany the partner district agreement for the other boards? Because
Absolutely.
I don't know that, and again, it's just a thought. I'm not, you know.
You are speaking our language, and
I'm
that is
speaking your
actually one of the steps that they are expected to complete.
I think that that would have helped me before I was on this board. Once I became a governing council member, I had greater insight. But when I was not connected to governing council, I didn't understand the partnership as well as I do at this point, and I'm always still learning. I'm still learning more.
Sure.
So I think that might be a way to help the full board in the partner districts understand a little bit better.
And we will continue to echo that language with each of our partner districts, again, at their discretion of how they utilize the information. But we do work with each director to ensure that they do create that PowerPoint presentation to be shared with their boards of education.
Great. Thank you.
Yes.
I would make one recommendation, made it before. What I would recommend is that on the compliance and on the assurance documents, that they sign them together at the same time. I'd also recommend that the governing council, that we have one meeting where we give them a copy of their compliance and assurance and make sure that they take that back to the board. I think a lot of times it may be signed by the superintendent or it might be signed by the board president, but I don't think the rest of the members of the board understand what's happened. And I do believe there's times when the governing council doesn't quite, no offense to the governing council, but I do believe there are times when they don't understand what happened at that time. So I thought if we would have a time when the compliance and the assurance, that not only are they signed by the superintendent or possibly the head of the board, that those also be given to the governing council, signed, and they can take back to the rest of the board to give an update.
Understood.
My question was about the collaboration tool. I don't know how I feel real strongly about this. I know we talked about it last year, but will we see any of that data in that work study?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm excited about that.
Yes.
What I just
You're welcome.
that makes people.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Dr.
Next.
All right, last on our superintendent report, we have 5.03 2024 Principal Institutes report.
Good evening again. I am also now joined by Wendy Pendergrass, Chief Compliance Officer. And tonight we will be sharing updates regarding the Principals Institute.
So an update on the Principals Institute. This is our third annual Principals Institute. For those of you that aren't aware, we invite principals from all over St. Louis County. And when I say principals, I'm talking about the principals of the partner districts. We, of course, have principals in our SSD schools, but these are the principals of the partner districts to a day of learning. The purpose is, of course, as stated earlier, to really strengthen our partnership, to provide an overview of all the different services that we have for the district, and to have breakout sessions that our principals can partake in. It's to help build capacity around special education. So we do away with the terms of those are your kids and these are our kids. They are all our students. And to provide time and purpose for planning. This based on the feedback that we received in the other two Principals Institutes, they wanted to have time in the afternoon to take the learning that they had in the morning and then be able to apply that and create a plan in the afternoon. So we allowed that. The schedule is as above. We had over 14 sessions that our principals could choose from. And it was both our coordinators, directors, and principals that could do it collaboratively. Our keynote, if you remember, was Dr. Hector Ramirez. He's a principal of Levens. He was our distinguished leader. He is an elementary principal at Rockwood. He also did the keynote, kind of welcoming everyone. The lunch and learn was a box to learn. We allowed time for just talking and collaboration. After that, we had a session where Susan Henry came and talked about the hot issues of special education. So kind of hot topics and best practices. And then again, as it reflected in the schedule, that 1:30 to 3 in the afternoon was really time for our tables to sit down and have discussion and build plans and coordinate with using multiple tools that they had taken. So there's an overview of some of our sessions. It's gone from new principles that I do believe Dr. Yates did that, to the anti-bullying resources as we explored mental health, universal design, transition, just a variety. The picture that is shown is a pack, our face table and pack, parent advisory council. It's in the PowerPoint on the last slide. FACE had a table there, and that was one of our long distinguished parents, Christina Blankenship, that also sat there and supported our families as well as our staff for that day.
Additionally, she also presented a session as well too, to provide information to principals throughout and leaders throughout St. Louis County.
Next slide.
In total, we had 216 participants to attend the Principals Institute this year. 96 of those individuals were from partner districts, and 95 of those individuals represented special school district. Additionally, you are able to see additional individuals who showed up on the day who were not registered. We had about 11 individuals, and we did have about 14 individuals who were not able to attend, but did register. And you also have some additional numbers for each of the partner districts of individuals who were able to attend and or not. Here are some of the responses that we received overall. It was a positive experience, with 93% of the participants agreeing and or strongly agreeing, and 7% of those individuals being neutral. They thought it was a great day of learning and collaboration, opportunities to network. They want us to continue to do this, and some have even asked if we can do this before summer break begins. We also do have to take into consideration new staff that may join a district, and what opportunities do we have available to support new staff and leaders in those districts as they enter July 1. So these are just a few of the things that we want to ensure that we continue to support and provide them with those resources so that they are meaningful and support us with the delivery of services in each of the schools that we provide services to. We are looking to have our event again next year, and the save the date is June 25th, 2025. Are there any questions?
Just unless somebody else does.
Go ahead.
I looked at the numbers, okay? First of all, I think this is a great idea. And I'm glad we're doing it again and again. But what got me was nobody showed from Hancock Place. I know that's a real small district. But the one that threw me was Rockwood.
Absolutely.
Why? Rockwood's a big district.
And, you know, speaker
Was from Rockwood.
And the
Was from-
keynote
yeah,
speaker
I don't
was from
understand. Why Rockwood? What happened?
So please note, on some of these days, we try to get out the days as soon as possible. That's why we do the save the dates. But as our partner districts sometimes do, they also have administrative trainings. They also have sessions that they have that are important to their administrators. So sometimes those days do conflict. I don't think I've heard from anything, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that any district did not want to send staff to this event. They actually like the staff. We hear positive information continually about the partnership. So I do believe for that situation, there were conflicting times.
Can by having this early, June 25th now, 2025, can we send this to Rockwood and Hancock? Everybody, but especially around Rockwood and Hancock.
Absolutely. And Dr. Cuneo, we do. They receive this information before they leave the event. One of the things that we'll share during the superintendent's roundtable is this actual data with each of the superintendents, and they don't like to see those components, and they are extremely
Rockwood and Hancock Place not being happy with this. So.
Absolutely. And they are competitive when it comes to being present and participating in our events. And so as Chief Pendergrass indicated, many of them, sometimes we're competing with events that they may have within their districts, but I also highlighted some of those same numbers that you've talked about with the level of representation. And one district that I did want to highlight for having a very large turnout was the Jennings School District, being a small district, but having 10 administrators to be present. So that was And they were not all new. And so they had both representation from their school level and district levels. And so we will continue to work with each of our districts, their liaisons, as well as their district level leadership and superintendents to ensure that we have that representation, because we support 266 schools and we definitely want to increase that
Yeah.
number for participation.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Next on our agenda, we have 6.01 approval of the consensual items of 7.01 and to 7.04. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, let's move to the action items. 8.01 election of secretary. Would someone like to make a motion? See, this is why I need Amy to whisper these things.
I move to nominate Tom Giles as Secretary of the Board of Education.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Welcome, Tom, to the team.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Next, we have 8.02 retiree health and medical. Did anyone have any questions about this?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
My goodness. Now, are there any questions concerning this?
I just as a person new to this board, I'm wondering about the process. Do we have a broker that we use? Do we interview multiple providers? What is our process? And I know everything everywhere is going up. This is a pretty significant increase. It looks like it's 9 point something %. So just wondering how we determined that this was where we needed to land.
Yeah, Dr. Loud's will address this. Yeah.
Thanks. Shoot that.
Your question was around, do we look at other vendors as far as determining whether or not who we're going to use for health insurance? Am I correct?
Yes. I'm asking if there's what the process is, if there's a committee, and then just asking about the 9% increase, which I know is hard
pretty-
because of the environment, but I know that's going to be a lot for some of our employees.
So we do look at a variety of vendors, and looking at that information, look to determine which one is going to provide what our staff need and what our families need, kind of based on what we have had historically. So then we would look at cost versus what it is we actually need, and that is pretty much that standard rate of increase.
I think to your point, Joanne, I mean, benefits is really a piece that we have seen just increasing really over the last 3 years, just rising astronomically. And so we do take a look at those pieces and what that really means.
Okay.
I am wondering that when we get to negotiations again for SDNEA or any of the, can they talk about having a less of an increase in some of these and a decrease in whatever the percentage of the salary would be? In the long run, it would be much more beneficial for them.
Sure.
And I did not realize how expensive it was if you had a family
Oh, yes.
and you're buying insurance. I mean, you're paying $900 a month.
It's quite a bit,
Yeah.
depending upon how many dependents you have.
Yeah. I mean, it can get up there pretty good. It would make more sense when you actually balance out the funds. It would make more sense to take a less of an increase and have a decrease in the amount you're paying. And again, that's a negotiable thing, but I'm wondering if people had thought about bringing that up.
Sure, that could be a consideration.
I mean, if I were a member of the teachers union, I would be looking at the total amount that I brought home, and it is a lot less if you're paying for it with after-tax dollars. In other words, if the insurance if they didn't have to pay that out.
Well, and I think to your point, you know, in pretty much in K through 12 education, and Kevin Andrew can always speak to this, but in K through 12 education, most people just assume that your benefits are already paid for. If you work in higher education, it's a total different story, and really those conversation pieces. So we were able to highlight some of that in this year's negotiations, but it'd be great to bring up next year.
We gave one fantastic benefit that we have, and when people start, the benefits start that day. I mean, that's a if you're coming out of school, you may not realize what a fantastic deal that is. But having it come off your parents and realizing that
It makes a difference.
you're now a big boy or a big girl, that's a big deal. But I'm thinking also, on the long run, it would be could be a lot cheaper for individuals in the long run if they had less of an increase and more taken, and their benefits cost less, especially their health insurance.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Make note of that.
Any other questions or concerns?
No, I'm still trying to understand is there a committee that looks at all of this, or is this, the role of HR?
So we do have members from HR as well as the finance department, along with those representatives from those companies, where we meet and they do kind of outline for us what the projections are, what the cost would be, what the benefit is to the district, to the employee and families, in order to help us make an ultimate recommendation that would benefit all.
Okay, thanks for helping me understand the process.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions or concerns? All right, all in favor for 8.02 retiree health Medicare?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion for I remember this time. Do I have a motion for 8.03 self-funded health plan traditional PPO?
So moved.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns with that? No? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion for 8.04 self-funded health plan high deductible?
So moved.
Second.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns for this? No? Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Do I have a motion for 9.01 closed meeting of the Board of Education? Oh.
8.0. I 8.05.
Yes. See, I needed to stop reading my paper and read the computer. Do I have a motion for 8.05 first?
So moved.
Board policies.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, tie goes to the runner. Any questions or concerns concerning 8.05?
I just noticed a couple of things that I'd like us to look at. So in policy EHBD, I'm trying to read these policies. And we talk about an AI coordinator. Who will that person be?
Good question. So we've had a district committee who's helped shape this policy, EHBD. And so Alan Wheat, who is our chief of student services, has served as the chair of that committee that got us to this point. So for the time being, we have listed in the regulation that he would be serving as, so that position, the chief of student services, would serve as the AI coordinator for the district.
And where will that designation appear? I know we don't have names in our policies, which is good. So if I'm an outside person.
EHBDR so it's in the regulation is where that would live.
Yeah.
And so if I'm looking for the coordinator, I could call the district, or I could look on the website. Okay, I was just wondering where that was articulated and who it would be. Thank you. That's my only question about EHBD. And then I've got two more questions about policy JEA. Just simply, it says and/or where it should say and/or. So I'm recommending that we make that simple change. And then I think it was just an editing oversight. In the part-time attendance section, instead of saying Special School District of St. Louis County, it says district common name. So I'm just suggesting that we update that with the district's name. Very small editing notes.
Thank you.
Before final approval.
Doing this with
Any other questions or concerns?
Just real quick, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry, Mr. Andrew. Just because we've got some folks, when we say first reading versus second reading, can you remind us what that is?
So first reading is really, it's bringing the draft. So what's come from the board policy committee. So the board policy committee has met. We've made kind of our initial edits. Oftentimes what you're getting at first reading is we're taking the MSBA version and their revisions, reconciling it with our current version. So you're going to get red line in the first reading. So you're going to see where the edits are. Second reading is that cleaned up final draft. So it's going to be the final version is what's going to go to second reading. So first reading is, this is still a work in progress because this is the first time it's gone to the full board. The board policy committee meeting has already signed off on it, but now we're looking for full board approval. The second reading, by that point, it's pretty well, we've looked at it once and it's the final draft going for board approval.
And we'll vote on those again at the second reading.
Yes, correct.
With the changes. So do we need to make a motion to accept the changes?
Do we? I don't think
No.
we
Or would-
Kevin
It's not an
Kevin.
act.
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and
this is like.
They'll submit
I
that.
just want to make sure everyone else
No.
agrees with my simple change,
Oh.
with my slash.
Grammatical, that's fine.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
Yep,
Thank
got
you.
it.
We don't have to, it should happen anyways.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All in favor for 8.05 first reading board policies?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Does somebody like to make a motion for 8.06 bid and award approval?
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? There you go. Bless you.
Thank you.
Any questions or concerns?
Yeah, thank you all for your patience with my questions. I know I have a million of them and thank you. I'm just, again, as a member new to this board, seeking to understand the process. So is there a way to know where these funds are coming from? And, which line item they're going to go under, if they're part of where they fall under our approved budget? And I don't want to make extra work, but I found myself wondering where these were in the budget and then a couple of them I could tell that they were renewals, but some others I couldn't tell if they were something new, if we were into new partnerships and agreements. So, nothing needs to be done now, but those were just some things that I found myself wondering as I was reading through this section.
So why don't we take a look at that and then be able to provide that information? I think especially anytime you're talking about bids and just financially conscious as we are, to ensure that those pieces are being met in the long run. And so we'll take a look at those pieces.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions or concerns for 8.06? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, would
Aye.
someone like to make a motion for 9.01, a closed meeting of the Board of Education today, July 23rd, 2024, directly after this meeting, and August 13th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Someone like to second?
Second.
Roll call.
Director Asner,
Yes.
Director Suda,
Yes.
Director Staten,
Yes.
Vice President Cuneo,
Yes.
and President Patrick.
Yes. Dr. Mackin, would you like to?
So we are in full swing. I know my staff out there, they when we get to the point of saying back to school, as our administrators, we will be in Leadership Institute on Monday. New teachers will be in new teacher orientation following those pieces. And so we welcome everyone back and welcome our new teachers here as we get started.
Would someone like to make a motion for 9.02 approval of the minutes?
So moved, with the caveat this will be Amy's last minutes. And so therefore, I think we should send her a copy of them when they're on. Yeah, let her have a copy of her last minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 9.03 executive meeting action item. The following items were approved during the executive meeting on June 25th, 2024. employment, resignations, retirements, salary adjustments, extra duty pay, 3 reductions in force, 4 agreements. The following items were approved during the executive meeting on February 13th. Am I reading this right?
Oh, and that's a typo. That's what.
That's a typo. We're gonna say June probably. Who has a calendar?
It's ninth. Wasn't it July?
June 25th and June
Yep.
11th.
June 11th. Thank you. The following items were approved during the executive meeting on June 11th, 2024. Employment, resignations, retirement, salary adjustments, extra duty pay, and 5 agreement items. Board communications, 9.04. Does anyone have anything to say? Sure.
I'll miss you, Amy.
Yeah.
And I'll miss you, Jim. You're not here, but I'll miss you.
I'm already. As a parent of an SSD child, we've already started to get the mail. So it's beginning of school year is coming. 9.05 board regulations you can read online. 10.01 calendar events you can read online. Would someone like to make a motion for 11.01 to adjourn?
No move.
Someone like to second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good night.
Goodbye.